Dadnarok presents the Wandavision After show. This is Sean.
And this is Chris.
Tonight we'll be talking about WandaVision Season 1. I assume they're only going to have one season of this. Episode 8, Previously on.
Yeah, before we get rolling though, guys, by now, if you're checking us out, you know we do this 10 o'clock. Tonight's a little later, so if you're waiting at 10 o'clock and didn't get it till now, well, sorry, I guess.
It's running a little late.
But we do the after show every week for now. WandaVision, it was Mandalorian. It's going to be Falcon Winter Soldier. So if it's your thing and you want to, keep up with what we're doing, subscribe, hit that bell, and check out everything we got going on.
That's right. So WandaVision, Episode 8, Previously on. I think there was a good feeling at the end of last week that it was either going to be one or two things. Either we were going to have like a double episode grand finale for the final 2 episodes of the season, or they were going to take an episode to explain some backstory to get us pumped for the finale. And it looks like that's the way they went.
Yeah, they kind of needed to a little bit. They had to give us a little bit about from Agatha, because a whole lot of people didn't know who she was.
Right.
So they had to give a little bit of her backstory, and then they had to really show us what got Wanda to this point. And how it went along. We know she went through a lot of tragedy in her life, but what got her to the point where she decided to take over this whole town?
Right.
And, they gave it to us all. It's going to be a lot to unpack here, guys. So buckle in.
Yeah, that's right. At the end of the last episode, we got confirmation that Agatha / Agnes was a big part of this whole thing. And we got in this episode just how big of a role she played. And all week, folks have just been singing, "It was Agatha all along," her little theme from last week. But of course, we take a deep dive into her backstory a little bit. And the episode actually opens up back in the 1600s. And she's being dragged to a stake, and it's by women. And the first question they ask, you've seen this in like The Crucible and other, kind of
witch trials, and
like, "Are you a witch?" And she's like, "Yeah,
I'm one of you."
You're kind of thrown off for a minute until you realize that she's surrounded by other witches who were, kind of not very happy with, I guess, the kind of magic that she's been using. She did something to piss them off. So they're gonna take her out, but she turns the tables.
All of a sudden, they're hitting her with their power, and all of a sudden it just starts turning purple, and it's like it's sucking all the life out of all these other witches, and then they all drop. And then I guess Mommy was like, "Oh no," she's like, "I can be nice. I can play nice with everybody." And she's like,
"Right.
No, you can't." But did you see when her mom went ahead and tried to light her up after she was elevating? She kind of had like that crown on her head. It was in like a blue, and it almost kind of emulated the Scarlet Witch's type of headwear she wears in the comics.
Yeah, I did notice that. That's it's funny how we're getting a glimpse into some of those things, little by little, and we'll talk about it later. But just the whole idea of the Scarlet Witch and Wanda finally getting her, identity that she has in the comics. It's pretty cool.
Her nickname is finally revealed.
Yeah, that's right.
Well earned. We kind of knew where they were going with it, but there's the bombshell reveal. No.
Yeah. So we find out that Agatha is a super powerful witch. She's been around for centuries. She's pretty dang old. She was enough to take out like her entire coven at one point. Seems like she's kind of absorbed their magic. And at the end of this episode, I'm still kind of questioning, is she looking to just take Wanda's magic? The whole episode, she's trying to get to the bottom of what
I think she's impressed. She wants to know how she did it. She is intrigued. And we're going to, like, when we come back to it, when they're in the basement, and she has those spells up in the wall, which are M's for, I call it, and Janessa call it House of M, just a little nugget.
What, the runes that were scrolled into the
No,
Killer?
the magical enchantment she put in the room. They were in like blue or purple, and they were
Okay.
I believe they were M's up top. So basically, Wanda couldn't use her magic.
I
But
see.
oh, where was I going with that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Let's see. Witches
I
tried to kill her. Darkest magic bent to her power since the hex. So Wanda's just kind of caught up. She tries a little thing where she tries to read Agatha's mind, and it doesn't work
yeah.
because of those runes that were inscribed. She was like, this is my house, and because of those runes, I'm the only one who can do
But she
magic in
did
here.
say she's never been able to do it at any point within the show.
Yeah,
So she said no matter if they were in that basement or if they were in Wanda's house, Wanda was never able to read her mind or control her in any way.
right. Yeah, yeah. So Agatha basically takes Wanda through this journey of the past, almost like Christmas Carol or something, like seeing visions from the past. She opens up this door, and the first place that they go to, well, first of all, I mean, the reason Wanda even does this is because her kids are,
Yeah, you
trapped.
hear the kids in the background, which I thought we were done with the kids.
Yeah,
I honestly did not think we were going to see the kids again. I thought the kids were done. I still am under the impression that the kids, it's not going to end well with the kids. The kids, something's going to happen. But the way it ended this episode,
yeah.
there's something that's going to go very badly for them. But
Yeah, the kids may not even be real to begin with.
yeah,
Like Agatha may be using these kids as some kind of leverage, but they may just be manifestations of a spell or some kind of power or something,
yeah,
and not really be. I don't know, and we probably won't know. We may not even know after the end of the series, but she does. Wanda agrees to kind of go with her and take a walk through the past. And the first place that they go to is when Wanda and Pietro were just kids, staying in their family's apartment in Sokovia.
yeah.
And you can hear bombing and gunfire and yelling outside. But meanwhile, the husband or the father of Wanda is trying to kind of shelter the kids, and they pick out their favorite sitcom. He's got a case full of DVDs, box set seasons of old school sitcoms.
Yeah, and she's picking it. She picks out Dick Van Dyke, and
Yeah,
Pietro's like, sitcom, 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 always a sitcom. And that right there
yeah,
connects the whole show. She
right.
grew up with these sitcoms. It was kind of, I took it as a way that they were learning English through like TV shows.
Yeah,
Because even at a point where Pietro came in and said, Papa, I thought you said no more Slakovian while
right.
during TV time. So they're
Yeah.
learning the English language that way.
Yeah, that's how they were learning, and that's how they were trying to like keep the depression of what was going on outside their walls from kind of coming into their home. And that was you get the sense that that's the idyllic image of American home life that Wanda had this sense that was like something to aspire to, at some point. So you get the understanding of why at the end of this she turns, she just wanted the perfect life. She wanted everything went wrong for her, and she just wanted to have a little bit of good in her life. And her,
Because at the end of every sitcom, even
yeah,
if it was bad, it was only a bad dream.
right. Every issue was resolved by the end of,
Yeah.
22 minutes. Yeah. um but so she's watching those, and of course this is we see the moment that she actually talks about back in Age of Ultron in the movie, how all of a sudden there's a huge Stark Industries bomb essentially that crashes through her apartment, kills her parents, but fails to explode. And her and Pietro have to like hide under this table and just watch this thing, waiting to get rescued for 2 whole days.
Now, here's a question for you. Do you believe that she basically defused that bomb and kept it from going off for those couple of days?
Hmm.
Or okay, so you're of the opinion that she had these powers the whole time,
Yep.
and then the Mind Stone essentially was the one that magnified what she had.
I believe, yes. I believe that Wanda was a witch. She was born a witch, not knowing that she had any kind of powers at all. In the comics, she has this probability. Her powers are actually like a probability thing where she not necessarily can pick up a car with her mind and throw it, but she creates this reality where the probability of that car flying over to where she wants it is it's really weird and kind of head trippy. But those are her powers, and Agatha actually calls it out to her as she's recalling. She's like, "Oh, so this Stark bomb." And in your head, you could tell, these Stark Industry weapons, which are,
they don't malfunction.
Yeah, they don't malfunction.
Yeah,
If it was going to blow up, it's like you stopped it from blowing up. You
you
single-handedly,
saved yourself and your brother.
yeah,
You couldn't. You
subconsciously
didn't
or
see it
not,
coming. Yeah,
right? Which totally blew my mind. I was like, "Oh my god, of course!" Like, yeah, that makes total sense. And you're right. Later in the episode, we see her with the Loki pokey stick from the first Avengers.
that was cool.
Yeah,
I thought that one. Now, okay. Now, hear me on this. I thought that was when we were going to get the cameo. I thought we were going to see Loki at
yeah,
that point when we seen his stick. When we seen essentially it was the Tesseract, but
right,
before we knew that Stone was in it.
yeah.
So, I mean, I thought that's when we were going to get our cameo that was going to break the internet. Which
It was so cool. I know we haven't gotten to that scene yet, but it was so cool to see the cosmic cube, what they call it in the comic books, but they call it the Tesseract in the movies. That was kind of the first big thing that they were all after, the Tesseract. It was in the first Captain America movie and everything. Because I was always confused. It just had this blue energy about it, the Tesseract, and yet it had the yellow Mind Stone in it. I was like, what's the deal with that? We actually see in this scene, it's Wanda that did it when she broke the stone out of the cube itself. The cube was just a container for this thing,
yeah,
and it busted up, and it went from that blue to that yellow, and it's something what we never saw in the movies. It was really cool to kind of see
I
that
thought it
little
was
back.
cool that no one really seen it happen. Like
Yeah,
even the Hydra agents didn't see what happened. They seen her standing there, and then they see her faint, and then they go in there, and she's the only one that's ever survived the encounter with the Tesseract here.
yeah, and as she's freeing the Infinity Stone out of it, she sees a vision, basically, I guess, of her future self, or maybe
You think it was
Scarlet Witch
her, or do
past.
you think it was Agnetha's mother from
I
the
don't know.
Covenant?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
could
there's
be
there's a lot of different things that could be.
because she is a Nexus character that we're starting to figure out. Like, she's the same Wanda in different universes. It could just be the energy of Wanda Maximoff itself, like throughout the multiverse, that she basically saw herself, or the essence of herself. Because at that moment she was kind of stepping into who she was. Like, she was using her combined powers of both being a witch and this Nexus character, and the power that's infused in her with the Infinity Stone, with all the testing and stuff that they had been doing
Yeah,
with her in Hydra. So I don't know. It was a cool scene. We talk a lot about it when it comes later, but um, Agatha does mention fake Pietro.
That-
Where
yep, and that was Feige throwing not Feige. That was just them throwing us a bone. They were like,
yeah,
okay, we're going to give you guys some thought that the X-Men are going to be a part of this, and
right.
then basically just yanking it right out from underneath you and basically confirming that there'll be no X-Men in this series at all.
So do you think? I guess that's what I'm asking. Like, is this face Evan Peters that we're seeing, the actor? Is it just like a resident of Westview? Is he some sort of manifestation? Is did Agatha pull him out of a different universe because she knew that the one here was already dead and in the ground? Like, who is this Pietro?
Yeah, I don't think he's. It's very possible he's just from that from Westview.
Yeah,
Because when he comes, because Wanda didn't recognize him, she
right.
had no idea who he was until he announced himself as Pietro.
Yeah,
So it could be anybody, and it was basically Agatha was only using him for her eyes and ears. She even said
right.
she was trying to get everything out of Wanda through him. So he's a throwaway character essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, so we go through a couple of like just crazy backstory that really fleshes out not only Wanda's past, like her immediate past since Avengers Endgame, but like we saw glimpses into her childhood and like
Yeah,
huge events that kind of formed her as she was a kid. And
we
we get to
we
see,
talked about the Dick Van Dyke thing. You want to
hmm
check it out and see what we got here?
oh, yeah,
This is your pick, yes?
Season 2, Episode 21.
Dick Van Dyke again? Always sitcom, sitcom, sitcom.
That's funny.
I thought it was cool how she was present with Agatha, but she had to step into the scene and became the little girl, became her younger self during that whole that process.
Yeah, that was shot really incredibly, how the camera kinda turned and panned around, and all of a sudden she was her younger self.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I did notice that. Um, and then later we do see after Hydra kinda picked her up and took, Pietro and Wanda, we saw, her open up the Tesseract. She was the only one who could do it, and, it was a kind of a dark time in her life where that kind of, radicalized her into being against, America and Tony Stark and the Avengers and all that stuff leading into Avengers Age of Ultron. And then finally, the final kind of real deal flashback we get is her and Vision around the time between, Civil War and Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah, it was right after. I think it was even closer to that. I think it was right after Ultron, because she was talking about how Pietro is dead. So I think it was really close to that timeline. It was the first time her and Vision really had any time together.
Yeah, this scene got me, like, her and Vision talking about grief.
Yeah.
And Vision, in his ignorance, viewed grief in a way that was very pure and positive. And it's so hard when you are grieving and when you are down in the depths of sorrow like that to hear anything positive about grief. But what he says to her, how grief is love, basically love defying ending and love continuing on even beyond death, and it's fighting for that chance. Even as after she explained to him how grief felt, just this wave of sorrow over and over again that she couldn't pick herself up from. Just you understand where this love between Wanda and Vision comes from, because at her most vulnerable, he was there for her, and he found her just fascinating as a human. Like he's this robot that's trying to understand the human condition, and what is more human than somebody experiencing their lowest and grief, and him trying to understand that.
Yeah.
So they were there for each other at that point. So it's like you get all this kind of like, just from this one simple scene, you get all that you need to know as far as like how and why they found each other and why they were each other's, person through the rest of the movies there.
Even Agatha was like, she kind of wiped away a little tear from the corner of her eye.
That. Agatha wiped a tear from her eye. I think that was genuine too. She wasn't like flexing or being sarcastic or anything. I think that's a little indicator for me it's like, we know from the comics, is Agatha, sometimes she's good, sometimes she's bad. She's just kind of like all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm still wondering, like, when this season is over, like, where is Agatha going to stand on this?
She's the female Loki.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, that's kind of the character that she would fall in line with. But yeah, I don't know where it's going, honestly. I mean, I feel like the way it ended, I almost feel like she is threatened by Wanda, because she's never had a peer.
Right.
And essentially, their peers, Agatha isn't towering over Wanda. Wanda may be even more powerful than Agatha.
Yeah. She may be. Yeah.
And this is the one situation she's run into something like this, where she doesn't know if they had to go head to head, who's walking away. And that's why she's using every little trick that she knows, that, say, Wanda wouldn't know, because she really has been using what we learned to come to find out as chaos magic.
Yeah. So where do we go from there? Oh, so we get that little backstory of Vision and Wanda kind of first interacting and falling for each other. And we get to see stuff that's a more current day, post Endgame. We see Wanda head to the Sword facility, and she runs into the director.
This isn't going to end well for him.
No.
If Sword is not going to end well at the end of the show. If everything else happens all right, but Sword's going to take a blow. And it's going to be pretty heavy, because they've been leading us on, and I took the bait.
Right.
That Wanda broke in and took Vision's body.
Yeah.
And went ahead and basically saved him from Sword from being made a weapon, which we're finding out that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
But she never took. She went in there She blasted the window out. I mean, her those guys turning their weapons on him. I mean, come on, really? And that wasn't going to go anywhere. Even she wasn't even slightly fazed by it.
Yeah. And how funny was it? How misleading the security camera footage that we saw a few episodes back. How she looks like she's just bound and determined, like she is just walking in there and she's going to take him away, but it wasn't actually like that. I mean, she buzzed herself through the door. She was like, no need. She was pissed for sure. But I mean, she wasn't to the point where she was about to haul him out of there. She went up to him and she felt him, but she couldn't feel him anymore. That's the dialogue that they had during Endgame, where she unfortunately was pulling the Mind Stone out of his head. He reassured her and he told her, like, I only feel you. That's how they got through it.
So I think it's gonna be Vision coming down to stop Wanda. I don't know. I don't think, honestly, I don't think so, because we're going to have the fake Vision versus the manifestation of Vision.
Right. We got two Visions around.
Yeah. And then there's also going to be Agnetha, who maybe sit back with her popcorn watching the show.
Right.
Because we already seen the manifestation of Vision and Wanda in the trailer. We got to protect our home. So they're flying off to something. Now we know it's more likely they're flying off to, face off this other Vision that we will see a little bit here. Or we'll talk about here a little bit down the road here. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be Vision. I really don't. I think Vision is controlled by her because it's her manifestation. And the other Vision has no idea. And I think that Vision, I got a theory on that Vision. When we get to there, I want to hear your
I think we might have a similar theory. I think we do. So after that, Wanda doesn't take Vision's body. She kind of, Hayward basically tells her he's property of the U.S. government or property of S.W.O.R.D. anyway.
I'm not going to let you bury all that vibranium.
Yeah, it's like $3 billion worth of vibranium. No thanks. He's staying right here. He's not a person. He doesn't have rights and that kind of deal.
Yeah, he's not. When he said he's not yours, I thought he was going to get it.
Yeah, I kept waiting for it, but she never went there.
She showed restraint, which we didn't see. We seen a very strategically cut together, cameras of what he wanted us to believe.
Right. Purposefully playing the victim in this whole thing.
Yeah.
And after the fact, so she leaves the S.W.O.R.D. facility. She goes back to her car. And there's an envelope in her passenger seat. It's a map of this town of Westview. It's got a home on it with a heart around it that says, a home to grow old in. And I'm wondering about this. Do you think this letter is legit from Vision, or is this some sort of manifestation from Agatha? Or do you think Agatha came onto the scene after Westview was already changed?
I think it's legit. I think that, the V, it looked like they had a deed to a property that they were going to go ahead and, because when we found them back before Endgame, they were overseas. So it's not, I don't think it's a stretch that they were looking for something closer to S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything over here stateside. To find a property to build a house to kind of, grow old together in.
Right.
And that would answer the reason Westview wasn't random. Westview was a place that they already had their eyes on. It was going to be their growing old spot. They're sitting on the porch in a rocking chair.
Yeah.
Type setup. So
now why Vision went ahead
all them.
and purchased a home in Westview? I guess we won't know that much, but that's what they zoned in initially on. That's the spot that they chose together, I guess, to be together once everything kind of settled.
Now,
after these
do you think there was a house there prior, or they were buying the land to build?
That's what I got from it. I mean, there was definitely a foundation in that area, but maybe Vision had already started. Maybe he put the foundation there. I don't know. I think maybe for visual effects, this was actually my favorite part of the episode, was her anguish when she finally reaches there. So she drives through this town of Westview. The place looks sullen,
we see the mailman, who was actually a pizza delivery guy.
Oh, we see everybody. We see Herb. We see the guy from Vision's office that he snapped out of. Pretty much, we see Mrs. Hart, the one who was like, stop it.
Yeah, she's rubbing her knee on the table, and
Yeah, a ton of the people that we've interacted with in the
Know
town.
who we still haven't seen?
Ralph?
Dottie.
Yeah, we didn't see Dottie.
Have not seen Dottie. And she
Right.
played a big part in that one episode. She was there when they tried reaching through to her. So I don't know if that's just
and we didn't see her information up on the bulletin board either, as far as
it
when
was
they were
her. It was both Agnes and Dottie. There were only two that were not put in the missing people type bulletin board.
Yeah, that was an interesting pull. I'm glad you noticed that because, she wasn't in the townsfolk walking around when Wanda first got there.
So it's interesting. But no, let's take a look at how Wanda reacted when she rolled up to that foundation here.
Oh, man,
yeah, that right there really shows how broken. That magnifies her mindset at that point when she has the deed and the little heart, and then standing in the middle of where the house would be, that whole setup.
So this place was created out of her anguish, basically, in the moment where she is at her absolute lowest and she cries out in pain. The magic flows from her, creates this town around her, first the house, and then it spreads out to the entirety, the perimeter of the town. And that's what we've been hearing from the residents this whole time. Once Vision snaps them out of it, they're like, all I felt, and Monica too, when she was in there, she says, like, all I felt when I was in there was just pain, sorrow, because of the town was created from that emotion.
All that pain is being projected from Wanda on these other people.
Yeah. So this was my favorite segment of this episode, maybe if not of the whole series so far. I think it's a tie between where Monica got her powers last episode and this one, where you just saw the town of Westview change and all the changes come out from where she was in anguish in that foundation, and everything goes black and white, and you see Vision come out of her. It's at some point it almost is like out of her control, like the magic was so stirred up where
all of a sudden she's doing her. We get this here essentially. I love how like this show in that short period of time from when she rolled up to the foundation to the end of that clip right there, it confirmed so many theories from it being Wanda in the hex, from it being out of her grief, from showing us that Vision isn't Vision. Vision was manifested from her, and now she's controlling what's going on. That whole sequence, I agree with you. I think the sequence from when she has her hand over Vision's head, her actual Vision back on Sword, and she's I can't feel you.
I can't feel you.
It goes back to a line I think that Vision said to her, or something on those lines in another movie between the two of them.
Yeah.
And from that point, when she gets in her car, she drives through the town, and to this, I think it's my favorite period of the show. I don't even think it's close, honestly.
Yeah, it's like a miniature movie in and of itself, just like these tied together moments from Wanda. You're right. This whole sequence was just incredible, and it turns black and white. Everything turns black and white. Vision is created. He turns into the Dick Van Dyke, very proper black and white looking, how we looked in the first episode of the series. and we see Wanda still in color until the camera does its magic.
That panning
it pans
thing, yeah.
around, and she comes back, and then we see black and white, happy. The
We
curls.
see episode 1 Wanda.
That's right. Yeah.
This whole period, it was so amazing and heartbreaking at the exact same time. And if they can pull both those strings on you, they're doing a great job. This show has been amazing because everyone's been wondering when they first announced this theory. Even I was like, how? What? WandaVision? Right. What are we getting out of this? How are they doing this? Vision's dead. I mean, how are they bringing Vision back? The whole deal. And it's such a almost Shakespearean.
Yeah, it's so creative what they did.
Yeah.
And they knocked it out of the park as far as execution. Just the way they gave us, they opened up mysteries, they answered some questions, left some hanging. Each and every episode built upon itself. And I mean, we don't have to tell people, they've been watching.
They give talking heads like us material to talk about, and then material to theorize about for the next episode. So when this series is over, there's going to be a Wanda-sized hole.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And honestly, I don't even know. Look, I'm looking forward to Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I don't know if it can live up to this.
I don't know if it's going to be as good as this, as far as just emotionally resonant. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it is Marvel, so I'm sure.
Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be more action-based.
Yeah.
This here is more heartfelt.
Right.
So it's going to be two different shows and go completely.
Yeah. So we get to see all this, and who else sees the creation of Westview besides Agatha herself? She finally gets it all. She's like, okay, I know enough. I know your whole backstory. And
they confirmed that too. She wasn't there when the hex was formed. She was called to the magic. So when it was Agatha all along, the beginning of her song was actually when she was showing up to the hex.
Like a moth to a flame. She felt the magic stir in this town, and she had to see what the heck was up, and she arrived. She floated down just like we saw Agatha all along, the intro to that in that last episode. But Wanda kind of snaps out of it in her black and white trip through time here. She hears her kids, she hears her boys in pain, and she runs outside and she sees Agatha has them.
This is chaos magic, Wanda. That makes you the Scarlet Witch.
Oh, I just got the chills when she called her the Scarlet Witch. Yeah, we didn't get in that clip. You didn't see the kids with the blue magic around their necks. She's her hands out, kind of pulling them back. Which
it's a really subtle but very cool thing that they've been doing through the movies and into WandaVision now is there's actually different forms of magic, just the way that the Infinity Stones were different colors. Forms of magic are different too. Like way back in the Doctor Strange movie, all the stuff that the wizards were doing was all like this golden color. Like an Endgame, when the portals opened up, they had those golden sparkly rings around them, right? And that's kind of the magic of the Doctor Strange group there. And the enemy, the Chiwetel Ejiofor, the bad guy in the Doctor Strange movie, he was using magic, but it was purple, dark and purple in color, and you could see the actor, I forget his names, but the bad guy, he was getting purple rings around his eyes and stuff too. So purple is like this from this dark magic, like what Agatha's using and what the witches were using in the very beginning, where they were trying to do whatever they were doing.
Yeah, they were more of a shade of blue, but I mean,
but it was very
hue. It wasn't quite as dark.
Blue, purplish. Yeah, there were different shades, but they were on the same kind of dark magic pool. And now we see Wanda's magic has a name to it. This red pulsating magic that she's been using all along is quote unquote chaos magic. Agatha kind of confirms it for us. So I think it's very cool how even magic in the MCU is different forms and different sources.
Yeah, I loved how she was like, I mean, we touched it already, but she's scared of her. She's like, you're a myth. You're not supposed to be real. I mean, you're using these powers and you're making breakfast for dinner.
Right.
So it's like she's trying to use any card she has to hold her at bay because they're not in the basement anymore. When Wanda, flares up her hands, how are we going to start the next episode? Will it pick up right there? Or is it going to pick up on a scene that we got a stinger in the credits, which now I wait for all the credits because I expect something now every episode.
Yeah, and I think you pulled this too, right?
Yeah.
What we see after the credits?
Yeah, the after credit scene. So check this out, guys.
Well, that's scary.
That's going to end bad.
That's bad.
That's going to end bad for Hayward. It's going to end bad for Sword.
Yeah.
Think about the okay. So I'm gonna get my theory a little bit here for you. Think about when he was originally made. When Vision was originally made, he was made alongside with Ultron.
Right.
His original goal was world domination and basically eliminate, all human species.
Right.
He has no backstory. He has no memory. What they're loading into him is what Ultron. They did a memory wipe.
Mm-hmm.
They went back to Windows 8. Well, Windows 8, Windows 7.
Right.
They got him back to that point again. When he wakes up, is he going to take orders from anybody, or is he going to be Ultron in essence?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So he won't take orders from anybody, but then Vision, Wanda, and all that, he's going to come through. He's not going to know what's going on. Yeah. They're going to see him as, for one, an imposter, for two, someone that's intruding on their home, and then that battle is going to take place. Sword's going to have no control over him whatsoever.
Right. Yeah, you got to imagine, like, Hayward, come on, like, what are you? He probably thinks that he has some control, but yeah. So this thing, I mean, Tony Stark had terrible visions of the future that were put in his head from Wanda. So it's kind of crazy that Wanda put this fear into Tony, and Tony in reaction created Ultron. Ultron created Vision, but then once they got Vision out, they linked him with the Mind Stone and with Jarvis as a software for personality and stuff, and he became what we know as Vision.
Yeah.
It's just insane. I think you're right. I think this corporeal form, the Vision's body put back together, there is no understanding and sympathizing
how much power does he have? Because he doesn't have the Mind Stone on him. Right. He only has that power from that drone that was only connected to him until he leaves. So how long can he actually be out there before he has to essentially plug back in?
And now that we have essentially two different Visions, we have the Vision as we know him with his personality and his memories and his thoughts and his love for Wanda. And then we have his actual body in physical form that can walk around on planet Earth. Is there a way that Wanda can join these two Visions together and we basically get a recreated Vision that we knew from, pre-Endgame?
We can't get that in 20 minutes.
No.
No, dude, I don't like the idea.
Yeah.
I would rather them battle it out on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And this is okay. So this is how I'll like it then. I would like Agatha and Wanda, kind of like in the comics, mentor mentee.
Yeah.
So she can get, know how to use her magic a little bit more and not use it just out of grief. Because right now to this point, we've seen her at her most powerful in moments of grief. When she was fighting Thanos, when we're seeing WandaVision, we're seeing everything when she is at that point of uncontrollable grief.
Yeah.
If she learns how to control it with Agatha, and they destroy this imposter Vision, and then they take the body and bounce.
Yeah.
And then okay, then we have Doctor Strange and everything trying to hunt them down or do whatever they need to do to try to bring Wanda back from Agatha.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's exactly how they're going to go.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no telling.
There's so much there now. Like I want to see that side of Agatha that's going to go ahead and mentor her. And then I'd love to see those two battle it out. I just want to.
Yeah, Agatha gave me that indication. Even though when we cut off this episode, Agatha's got Wanda's boys in a chokehold, basically, with her magic.
Yeah.
I still got the feeling that she's doing this out of fear, out of like, it could be one or two things, or it could be both. Like, she either like fears this chaos magic that she's like, thinks it's just even beyond her power, beyond her control. Maybe she's been so powerful for so long that maybe she wants an equal. You know what I mean? Maybe she's been on top in the magic realm for so long that she's bored, and instead of wanting to drain Wanda of her powers so she can, that's the typical bad guy thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to suck your power from you and become the all powerful. But she's kind of been all powerful for a long time.
Yeah. And she's been there for a while, and she's been watching this kind of. She could have popped up at any point. She didn't have to wait as long as she did. She was trying to figure out what was going on without really affecting her. And she even said in this episode, she got to the point where I almost had to smack you around and snap you out of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You wonder, because at the beginning of this episode, she had her family, her sisters, betray her basically and want to take her out. So she did what she had to do to defend herself, and she was the one left standing. And so she lost her coven. I wonder if she's almost trying to start a new coven. Like, what if Dottie is a part of this coven? What if she's trying to get Wanda to be like, hey, look, you're a witch. I don't know, the whole Mind Stone thing or whatever, but you were born a witch and you belong with me.
You're one of us.
Yeah.
One of us. No, I mean, there is the whole storyline within the comics of New Salem.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I really love how they are using the comics and the source material.
Yeah.
But they're not holding to it as doctrine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're playing with it, but they're telling their own story with what stories have been told.
They've been doing that from the Iron Man, the very first movie, when Tony Stark is up at the podium and he looks at the press and he says, I am Iron Man. Because in the comics, he had a secret identity. Nobody knew that Iron Man was Tony Stark. But in the movies, they decided to do something different. And they've been doing that to great degree, and they've been knocking it out of the park with just the variation on the source material, like you said. So, and this is a continuation of that.
So based on, we're done with this episode here. Let's fast forward a little bit. Let's fast forward to next week, because I don't want to wait. I am jonesing. Like, when that episode was over, it almost hurt that I had to wait
I know.
A week to see it in the next episode. But we get going, we get into it, and I'm thinking, okay, have we seen the big baddie? Is it going to be Vision? Is he the big bad? Are we not going to see Nightmare? Are we not going to see I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Oh, Mephisto.
Mephisto, thank you. Yeah. Are we not going to see those two? I don't think we are. Do you think there's still going to be a engineer?
No, I don't think so.
You think we're past engineer? Because we haven't seen Jimmy Woo at all in this episode. So it's possible he would be the one that would meet with him, but we're so late in the game.
We're very late. And it really just depends on how many minutes this final episode is. Like, I am hoping that it's like an hour plus, because I would hate to think that we get the final episode 9 and it's 38 minutes and it's all wrapped up too quickly. You know what I mean?
No, I think this one here was closer to 40.
Mm-hmm.
I think 46 was the runtime, 40 minutes was the show, which essentially almost doubled the length of the show, because we've been getting roughly about 20-minute shows. So if they can give us closer to an hour, because they did it with Mandalorian. So I think they can give us a little bit longer of a last episode to go ahead and feed into, whatever movie. Because the next movie in line is Spider-Man. Like, me and Janessa were talking about, how is this going to connect? Because they said it's going to. And Spider-Man, I like Spider-Man. I like him more now than I have.
Right.
But dude has nothing on Wanda.
Right.
Even if he has Edith in all Stark Enterprises, controls, he has nothing there. So it's going to be intense, and I'm looking more forward to.
I know you want to see a throwdown between the Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange. That's what I want
to see that. I want to see that epic battle.
Yes,
and it's something that we just can't wait for. Real fast, I want to. Jason, thanks for checking us out, man. We appreciate you coming by. I mean, the breakdown is we're just here talking. We're having a good time. So if anyone else enjoys watching us, man, we appreciate you showing up.
Yeah, come back each and every week, man. We'll be here or watch it on replay. It's on YouTube. And we'll be here once again for Falcon and Winter Soldier 2 when that premieres.
Oh, next week is going to be epic. It may not be. It's going to be a long show. I got a feeling.
Which may make for a long after show. We'll see.
Well, there we go. Any theories? What do you think next week?
I already kind of put mine out there that we might see the return of Vision in proper form because these two separate entities may become one. That's my kind of out there theory. I don't think it'll happen, but maybe.
I want to see pieces. I want to see his body in ruins on one of the streets. Like I am that person that just wants to see this. The you already said knockdown drag out.
Yeah,
that's just kind of my thing.
So you don't think we're gonna get the sitcom style happy ending with the WandaVision, huh?
I hope not, because the sitcom happy ending, the happy story ending, would be the cliche comic book ending.
Right. Yeah.
I've been wanting, like I've already basically said it. It's kind of Shakespearean. I want that tragic ending.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be like at one point we were thinking, all the children are gone, connecting to Spider-Man. We don't need it that dark, but I would love some type of dark feelings. This hasn't been a normal show for them. This is something that they've kind of broken off. This has been out of the box. So I would like an out of the box ending to the show.
I get that. So any wild theories on your end?
I would. It's hard telling. It's hard telling what I want to happen. I mean, I've seen a few people floating around the idea of the engineer actually being Natalie Portman's character. I can't think of
Thunder. Jane.
Jane. Yeah, because of the connection to Darcy and how she's going to become Thor, and she is an engineer. She's an astro engineer. So her actually being the cameo, which would be a huge, it's not a Luke Skywalker moment, but it's still a holy crap.
Yeah.
Type moment.
Paul Bettany and his interviews, man, they've spun wild speculation throughout this whole series. I don't know if he's trolling everybody or what.
Well, this engineer thing has only been 2 lines, and it's all been us and our, the community we're a part of that has spun 2 lines into this. Who are we going to see? And I mean, if we don't
see anything in this final episode, anything's on the table. I mean, there could be Doctor Strange. There could be a Tom Holland, Peter Parker cameo. There could be Skrulls. We could see like maybe these this military faction that helped Monica out. Maybe they're Skrulls. Maybe it's that little Skrull girl that she befriended back in Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
we could see Captain Marvel. I mean, we could see anything in this final episode because we know that they're going to do stuff beyond this, and they like to connect things from one to the other, from one to the next. And we know we have a Doctor Strange, a Spider-Man, a Captain Marvel. We've got all kinds of great things coming up. We've even got Falcon and Winter Soldier. I mean, who knows if there's some end stinger that leads right into that next Disney Plus series. So, I mean, anything's on the table for next week.
They already said they're all connected. We just right now seeing that this is the first. We don't know how they're connected. Now, I already told myself, and I told you, I think Thursday on my day off, going in there before Friday, I'm sitting down and watching them all the way through. I want to see them all the way as like a movie type event.
Yeah,
going in and getting ready for Friday. I am not quite of the mindset that I can stay up till 3 a.m, Eastern Standard Time to watch it. But I would be upset if I went to play at 3 a.m. and Disney crashed like it has in the past because everyone's doing that.
One of the only times that I'm jealous of the folks on the West Coast, man.
Yeah, I could do midnight.
Yeah,
I could handle midnight. 3 more hours in the middle of the night, I just can't do.
Yeah,
this old man can't do 3 a.m. Well, essentially 4, and then get up at 7 to get the kids off to school.
No, not anymore.
Okay, guys. Well, I think we went through that pretty in depth. Like we said at the beginning, if this is something you guys do enjoy, go ahead, hit that like, subscribe button, smack that bell so you don't miss any of this fun that we do weekly. Like I said, come next week, it's not the end. We're on this train. This after show is going to continue rolling. It's going into basically all the Marvel shows. If you enjoy Star Wars, We're doing the Star Wars ones once they start up as well, so we may have to pick which ones we're gonna roll with at certain points.
Yeah.
But if you enjoy it, please check this out. Check out what we have over in the rest of the page. And I think as of now, I think all I can say is see you next week and stay cheesy.
See ya.